Let's talk about some trade values. Things are going on. And look, a lot of people are going to hop in the comments and say, oh, my league's trade deadline is closed. And not everybody's is. Some people just let it rip right through the season. But the thing is, if you want to look to get your hands on some of these guys when things open back up, you need to know what they cost, because the values now, they're going to change week to week, but some of them might stay the same or be close to it. So, Nate, why don't you go ahead and start it out with everybody's favorite wide receiver in the YouTube comments?
Yeah, we got to talk about him. Drake London, wide receiver for the Falcons. Currently the wide receiver 10 on Keep Trade Cut. He's 23 years old. Quietly having a great season. He's the wide receiver 8 on the season. Wide receiver 17 in points per game. But how are we feeling on Drake London? Because we got some quarterback questions. Kirk Cousins hasn't played very well as of late. And I don't know how I feel about Michael Penix. Is he the future down there? How long is Kirk down there? Also, Drake London hasn't played quite as well as the past couple weeks. He hasn't had 100 yards since week 5.
Yeah.
He also had 6 touchdowns in the first 9 games of the season. Hasn't had a single touchdown in the last 4 games. All losses for the Falcons, in fact. So, Drake London, overall a great season, but maybe slowing down a little bit. But still 23 years old, so we're really excited about it. Let's look at some of these values, Mike. The first one I got for you, Amon-Ra St. Brown for Drake London and Brandon Ayuk.
Give me Amon-Ra St. Brown. Also, I want to say I don't think Kirk Cousins has thrown a touchdown pass in those 4 games either. But check out Drake London's targets the last 4 games. He's still getting targets, 10, 16, 7, and 13.
Yep, lots of targets for Drake.
I'll check in on Kirky while you're giving the next one.
I'm also going to go Amon-Ra St. Brown there. Okay. The next one I got here, Puka Nacua for Drake London and Sam Laporta.
Yeah, I still want Puka Nacua there. And I was right. Kirk Cousins has not thrown a touchdown pass since November 3rd. He threw 3 against the Cowboys.
A month ago.
Yeah. But yeah, I still want Puka Nacua there just because he could outscore Drake London and Sam Laporta on any given week.
It's true. I actually do lean the Drake London and Laporta side if you need a tight end in this situation, and that's what you're looking to do, is to downgrade to Drake London and pick up Sam Laporta on the side. That's a pretty good trade, I think.
Yeah.
And then the last one here, Rome Odunze and Rachaad White for Drake London.
Yeah, I'm going to go the Drake London side on this one. You're going to get a more targeted wide receiver right now. I don't want to say consistent just because the Falcons offense as a whole hasn't been very consistent. And then Rachaad White on top of that. Rachaad White's still quietly having a good season as well. Not like what he was last year, but he's still extremely startable on a weekly basis.
Yep, absolutely agree. I'll be on the same side. I'll take Drake London here. So,
right. Cool.
Mike, tell me about your wide receiver not nearly having as good of a season.
No, because I don't know what to do. He was kind of, they called him Diontae for a while, but this is Baltimore Ravens wide receiver Diontae Johnson. Nate, you were so excited and I was so excited for you. His wide receiver 83 on Keep Trade Cut. He is 28, but he's going to be a free agent after this season. He was suspended 1 game for conduct detrimental to the team. Nate, maybe you have some better insight. I guess John Harbaugh wanted him to go back in against the Eagles 2 weeks ago, and he didn't want to, or I don't know.
Yeah, he just straight up refused to get in the game, which seems ironic because he was upset that he wasn't involved. So, yeah. Maybe there is some smoke with the whole Diontae having some locker room issues.
They have Zay Flowers, they have Mark Andrews, but another stud wide receiver would really help this team in the postseason, in the regular season. You would think getting traded from Carolina to Baltimore, he would be absolutely ecstatic.
You would think.
He's averaging 7.8 fantasy points per game. That's going to keep going lower because before he got traded, okay, in 7 games, 30 receptions, 357 yards, and 3 touchdowns. The Panthers not playing as good then. After the trade, in 4 games, Nate, 1 catch for 6 yards on 5 targets.
It's been tough.
It's hard to acclimate to a new offense as a wide receiver. In the middle of the season.
It can be. Also, I mean, I get it. I get it a little bit. They traded for him, and they still put him behind Nelson Aguilar and, Tylan Wallace. So I get it. Deontay's a little upset. He thinks he deserves more, but it's the middle of the season. Those guys have been in the system for years now. They're trying to win games, not score stats, so.
You win on Sunday throughout the week. That's all I could say. You got to come into practice. What does it cost to get him? If you want to take a shot, take a flyer. He's going to be free agent. He's going to pick his destination next year. What does it look like to get Diontae right now? 25 fourth.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that because I'm a Diontae fan.
Yeah, my trade's courtesy of Fantasy Calc. Your trade's, again, courtesy of Dynasty Daddy, right?
Yep.
Okay, very good. Dontavian Wicks.
I'll see. I've really soured on Diontae, unfortunately, because I would have taken all of these before. I'm actually, I don't really like Wicks either, though. He can't catch the ball. But I got to go Wicks right now because Diontae is just falling.
I mean, he's caught 25 passes this year, so he's doing something. Yeah, and then Jerry Jeudy for Diontae Johnson in a 25-second. This is a tale of two teams going in completely different directions. I'm going to take the Jerry Jeudy side, though.
Yep, same.
Yeah, okay, very good. Who do you want to talk about next?
Yeah, let's talk about Jayden Reed. Currently wide receiver 22 on Keep Trade Cut. He is 24 years old. He's the wide receiver 18 on the season. Wide receiver 38, though, in points per game. And in this last game against Detroit, he had 1 target and 0 catches, was not involved in the offensive game plan.
I don't get it.
He has 3 games over 100 yards, but he also has 7 games, Mike, under 50 yards. And if we said 50 or less yards, it would be 8 games because he had a game with 50 yards. So he is really hot and cold this year. In the last 4 games, he has only 8 catches for 73 yards in the last 4 games. Now, the only thing keeping him afloat in fantasy football is the fact he has 3 touchdowns in the last 4 games. But outside of that touchdown luck, 8 catches for 73 yards. That is 2 catches a game for less than 20 yards. So we are really not in a great place right now with Jayden Reed. What are we going to do with him? I still believe in him long-term because I love what we saw his rookie season, the beginning of this year. I loved him as a prospect, but things aren't working right this second for that Packers offense. So looking at the value, let's see how we feel about it. First up, a straight swap with Cooper Kupp.
I'm okay paying that.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm competing right now, I want Cooper Kupp. He's been playing really well, but yeah, I would swap that out if I'm not contending this year.
Yeah, if I'm not contending, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Rashee Rice, straight up.
Also okay with that. Rashee Rice has the LCL injury, I've been told, Nate. It's going to take a little bit for him to come back firing on all cylinders, I believe. And Jayden Reed, despite the fact that he's not having the year we expected him, has been really inconsistent. He still has a chance to completely smash last year's receiving totals. He's 100 yards off his receiving yardage, 2 receiving touchdowns off of his receiving touchdown total, and just 1 off of his rushing touchdown total from last year. So he still has a chance with some time left in the season. So yeah, I'm okay with that one as well.
Yeah, I also ranked Jayden Reed ahead of Rashee Rice in the last episode. A little bit of that is I'm a little concerned about Rashee Rice and his target volume now that Xavier Worthy's looking a little bit better. Right. But I will go Jayden Reed here. But I tell you what, if you gave me really just about it, like anything on top of Rashee Rice and I wasn't competing, I'd probably be willing to make that move.
Agreed.
Last one I have here for you, Jayden Reed. We're moving him or buying him. The other side here is Hollywood Brown and Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah, I'm going to take Jayden Reed there as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and Hollywood Brown's hurt. Brandon Ayuk also hurt. I know Hollywood Brown could be back for the playoffs, but the fantasy season's over when the NFL playoffs are around, so I'm okay with that.
I'm a big Brandon Ayuk fan. I probably have Ayuk and Reed somewhat similar dynasty long-term rankings. So if I'm a rebuilding team, I'm okay with moving Reed for Brandon Ayuk and Hollywood Brown.
Okay, perfect. Let's talk about a quarterback of my favorite team because I don't know how to value this guy right now. That's Philadelphia Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts. Quarterback 4 on Keep Trade Cut. He is 26. Got some time left. Plenty of tread left on the tires, right, Nate?
Yeah.
Oddly enough, though, the Saquon effect is in full effect because he has 6 games this year with under 200 yards passing. Yet he's a touchdown machine somehow. 16 passing touchdowns and 13 rushing touchdowns.
That's crazy.
After their week 5 bye week, he's extremely limited his turnovers. He had a problem with it the first 4 weeks of the season. Bye week came along. And there's a lot of people speculation. Philadelphia media is he's being a little bit gun shy, doesn't want to turn the ball over, but gotta sling it a little bit there, Jalen. And quarterback 4 in the season, 22.1 fantasy points per game. Thing is, this is probably the healthiest I've seen him look in quite a few years now. He's running really well. Arm looks good. A couple times he just sits back there and fires it in the flat to A.J. Brown or Dallas Goedert, who's also he's on IR right now, so not to him. Maybe Grant Calcaterra, who I had to play this week, got his first career touchdown just for me because I had to play him. And look, I do want to say when I look at these values, I made sure that all of these trades are super flex trades. So go ahead, put in the comments down below that trade would never happen in my league because it happened in somebody's leagues. 225 first.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Here's an interesting one. Jayden Daniels for Jalen Hurts and a 25 third.
That is an interesting one.
It is. I do think they get Jayden Daniels more firepower in the offense next year at the wide receiver position. At least I hope they do. Although I don't know how that's going to look. This wide receiver class coming in is not that great. Unless they find a way to get Ted McMillan, which seems unlikely. They're going to be too good to get him, I think, where they finish in the draft.
Yeah, so I don't have, just so you know, I don't have any Jalen Hurts shares across my rosters. So I also don't have a great valuation of him because I don't spend a lot of time thinking about Jalen Hurts, to be quite honest. I think because of what we've already seen, I'm probably going to lean Hurts in the third.
Yeah.
But if this was Daniels in a third for Hurts, I would probably lead the Daniels side. I'm going to probably take whichever side I get a little bit one.
Okay, fair enough. And then all of these players were traded for Jalen Hurts. Okay. Caleb Williams, Chris Godwin, J.K. Dobbins, and a 26 first.
I don't love it, but I don't hate it. I don't think the value is bad, especially if you're a contending team.
Yeah.
Caleb hasn't been that helpful. And of course, Godwin and Dobbins are on IR. So while the value long term doesn't really line up for me because I'm a believer in Caleb still, I'm okay with this trade. Absolutely, if you're a contending team.
All right. Very good. Who is the next player you want to get a value on?
All right, let's talk about Khalil Shakir. Currently the wide receiver 39 on Keep Trade Cut. He is 24 years old. He's the wide receiver 22 on the season, wide receiver 34 in points per game. And so far in the season, 65 catches, 735 yards, and 3 touchdowns. This past week against the Rams in the shootout between the Rams and the Bills, he had 5 receptions for 106 yards and 1 touchdown, including one play where he had the yak wreck really go up because he ran for about 50 yards, I think, after the catch and scored the touchdown running past the 2 safeties there. It brings the question here, he's going to be a top 24 wide receiver this season. And this is a guy that was drafted in the 4th round, kind of gave him some Amon-Ra St. Brown vibes. I don't think he has quite that ceiling as much as I love Khalil Shakir. But is he undervalued as the wide receiver 39 on Keep Trade Cut? I think so, Mike. Let's look at the values here through Dynasty Daddy. A 1st-round pick for Khalil Shakir and a 3rd-round pick.
Yeah, getting that. If it was the straight up first for Shakir, I would say no. But to get that 3rd back on top of it, I'm okay with that. I'm really coming around on Khalil Shakir.
Yeah, same. And I think we're probably at the point of the season where I wish that we could tell you if these were mid, early, late first. They don't put that on Dynasty Daddy, unfortunately. I'm assuming they probably don't do that on Fantasy Calc yet. But we usually end up getting that once we get into the off season.
Yeah,
they usually have the capability, but until then, I'm going to just in my evaluation say this should be a late first for Khalil Shakir in a 3rd.
Oddly enough, on Fantasy Calc, when you type in a player to search for trades, you can type in a draft pick. It will give you 25 like mid first or late first, but it doesn't come up on the trades itself. But you can't search for a 25 early first. Oddly enough,
interesting.
I don't know. So. What do you got next?
Next, straight up swap with Jameson Williams.
Here's my Jameson Williams. I'll take Khalil Shakir. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm on the same side as you. And then George Pickens for Rico Dowdle and Khalil Shakir.
Sure. I know you're still probably looking to move off of George Pickens, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like Shakir better than I like George Pickens too.
And to be fair, Pickens has been good. Nothing against Pickens. I just don't foresee the Steelers really giving us an elite wide receiver piece, though. Like I said, I mean, Pickens has been good this year. I just don't know what next year looks like for the Steelers. though at this point, I'm going to assume they probably re-signed Russell Wilson.
Hey, let's talk about my favorite position now. That is the tight end. And this is Las Vegas Raiders tight end Michael Mayer, tight end 29 and keep trade cut. He's 23 years old, still plenty young. Against the Buccaneers, 7 receptions, 68 yards, no touchdowns. Might have had to catch a pass or two from Desmond Ridder. Man, those Raiders quarterbacks are dropping like flies, Nate. Gardner Minshew goes down. No, Aiden O'Connell goes down. Here comes Desmond Ridder to save his pension, I guess. In that game, he was tied for receptions. Jacoby Myers also had 7. Second on the team in targets with 9. Myers had 10. And I do want to know, is this and Brock Bowers sustainable? Or are we looking for next year? Maybe they move on from Michael Mayer to get some more draft capital. They have Brock Bowers. Maybe they move on. Maybe he would, benefit from a change of scenery. He did miss some time this season for a personal matter. I think it was 4 games. I couldn't find out exactly what it was. His family reached out and says it was something he dealt with before. I don't know exactly what that was, but it was just listed as a personal matter. 3.7 fantasy points per game. He's tight end 56. Not great. But what are we buying him here for? You know what I mean? Like, what are we hoping out of him? Let's find out what it cost in a half-point tight end premium, 25 third.
Yeah, I'm okay with this because I still believe in Michael Mayer. I don't know what it's going to look like exactly because it's hard to be a good tight end when you have Brock Bowers playing across from you. But I do still believe in Michael Mayer, whether it's with the Raiders or somewhere else.
Let's not forget, in the 2023 class, he was a lot of times considered the consensus tight end 1.
Yeah, absolutely he was.
Xavier Legette for Michael Mayer in a 25 second, and this is also a half-point tight end premium.
Yeah, I'm good with trading Xavier Legette for a second-round pick with a little bit extra. So that being Michael Mayer, I'm happy with that.
All right, last one. Zach Ertz and Adam Thielen, so some old dogs here. For Michael Mayer, a 25 fourth and a 25 fifth. This is a full point tight end premium.
Yeah, I think that this is the classic 2 teams heading in 2 different directions. I like both sides here, depending on your team need.
I mean, right now I would lean the Zach Ertz, Adam Thielen side, but week 1 of next year you might.
Yeah, I'm not really going to want the Zach Ertz, Adam Thielen side as much as I probably would have said that last year. I don't know how many more years we can get out of both of them.
Yet here we are. Nate, who do you got next?
All right, next we're having a pretty good running back season this year, and one of the guys near the top is Josh Jacobs, currently RB11 on Keep Trade Cut, 26 years old. He is the RB7 on the season, RB8 in points per game. His stats are as follows: 239 carries, 1,053 yards, and 11 touchdowns on the ground. He also has 27 receptions, 260 yards, and a touchdown through the air. What are we doing to move for Josh Jacobs, who's signed there? Not through just next season, but the season after that, and is performing really, really well with the Green Bay Packers. Would you move a first-round pick for Josh Jacobs? We'll call it a late first-round pick, Mike. We'll call it like the 110-ish.
If it's late, then yes.
Okay. Once you get to like the 106, you're thinking no?
Then I'd like something a little bit back on top of it.
Well, at that point, you're probably not going to be you're not in the playoffs anymore, so you don't need Josh Jacobs.
Never mind.
All right, next up, how about CMC and a second-round pick for Josh Jacobs? You're making the push.
To make that push, if you think that's going to give you the edge to win the championship, I'm okay with it. I don't love it, but
I'm not fully out on CMC. I think some people maybe overcorrected and they were worried about him, being a career-ending injury or him not coming back next year or something. I'm not that worried on CMC. So value-wise, I do still like the CMC side here, but I understand if you're trying to win this year, Josh Jacobs is going to help you a lot more than CMC or a second-round pick.
Well, like they say, scared money don't make money.
That's true.
Once. What do you got next?
Next up, I got Adonai Mitchell and DeAndre Swift for Josh Jacobs.
I'm okay with that. Swift playing better. AD Mitchell inconsistent in his rookie season so far, so I'm okay with this trade.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm okay with it as well. Very okay with it. And then I threw one more on here just because I saw it after I filled my first 3 out, and I wanted to mention it. Straight up swap, Jalen Waddle.
It's hard to go across positions like that when you're doing a straight up swap. Waddle's been inconsistent this season as well, as has Tyreek Hill. I think I'm okay with this one. If this is the push I need to make and I'm really stacked at wide receiver, sure.
All right. I'm gonna say the same thing. If I in a vacuum, I'm going to lean Jalen Waddle just because the wide receiver position, though that hasn't been as helpful this year to build around. I'm going to lean Waddle, but I'm totally fine with making the move across the position to go get Josh Jacobs if you need it.
All right, perfect. Got one more player for you here, Nate. It's Arizona Cardinals wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. He's wide receiver 8. Keep Trey cut. He's only 22. In a 30-18 loss to the Seattle Seahawks, he had 4 catches for 49 yards, no touchdowns. We've seen flashes. I think we expected more from him at this point. At least everybody else did, considering that he was either your wide receiver 1 or 2, depending on how you view Malik Neighbors. He's averaging 11.6 fantasy points per game. So he'd be a really good wide receiver 3 on your team right now. We think he's going to be better than that long term.
4 maybe almost.
Yeah. He's wide receiver 28 on the season. So he is a wide receiver 2, though. And I still feel like he's a generational talent. 3. Sorry. Math is not me. You know what? If it's a 16-team league, Nate, he's a wide receiver.
There you go. There you go.
I'll take that technically.
Or 15-team league. Yeah. Actually, a 14-team league, he's a fringe wide receiver 2.
That is true. Are there 15-team leagues?
No. I mean, there might be one out there and they have some weird scheduling, but you got to have an even number of teams.
Yeah. I still feel he's a generational talent, but can we buy low? Let's find out. What does he cost? Amon-Ra St. Brown from Marvin Harrison Jr. in a 25-second.
No. Give me Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Give me Amon-Ra. Puka Nacua in a 25-second for Marvin Harrison Jr. in a 25-first.
No, give me Puka.
Yeah, give me the Puka side. And in a super flex league, Tua and Brian Robinson for Marvin Harrison Jr.
I can go either way here. The value of quarterback, I still have my worries about going and acquiring Tua because of the injury history. So if I'm trying to get a quarterback, I'm probably not going after Tua, to be quite honest. So I'm going to go with the Marvin Harrison Jr. side here. But I think value-wise, this is very fair.
Yeah, I agree with that as well.